Well, hello, folks. So my name is Dave Whalen. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Public Works for Dutchess County, and thank you for joining us for a discussion about our Lake Walton uh, Master Plan and Lake Walton Preserve. We have some fine folks here from Dutchess County that we'd like to spend some time talking about this exciting project by the county. And we'd first like to start out with a welcome message from our County Executive, Mark Molinaro.
Thank you for taking part in our second virtual outreach forum to learn about our plans to develop the Lake Walton Preserve in East Fishkill into a universally accessible park. I encourage you to share your feedback and ask questions tonight as you learn more about our priority projects for this great property. My 2021 budget will include investment in our outstanding parks, including improvements like the ones we're talking about here, as well as at other parks throughout the county and additional programming for children and adults. We'll have a lot more information to share in the coming weeks, and I hope you'll join me on October 28th as I release my proposed 2021 budget. Thank you again for your continued interest and support of Dutchess County Parks.
So Lake Walton Preserve was a property that was acquired by the county. Just to provide some background, back in 2019, Scenic Hudson had purchased the property from a previous potential developer. But then the county came into an agreement with Scenic Hudson in the spring of 2019 to purchase the property, and that was finalized again in the spring of 19. The goal here is to make Lake Walton Preserve a natural playground to appreciate nature and to develop it for passive and nature recreation. This is not intended to be a park-like setting with ball fields and pavilions that might have parties and things of that nature. It is more to appreciate the natural beauty that Lake Walton encompasses. It's a 231-acre parcel of land located in East Fishkill. It abuts the Dutchess Rail Trail, an existing county park facility that is just towards the southern terminus near the Hopewell Junction Depot trailhead. And it's a wonderful piece of property that can be accessed off of the Dutchess Rail Trail. As well as there will be some access off of Lake Walton Road, and we'll talk about that as well. So tonight we are going to present to you a master plan concept, and what we're looking for is feedback from the public in not only with the questions and answers certainly here tonight that you might have, but also in answering our survey, which we'll talk about, and we'll provide the link to you later on after the presentation. The fine folks here with me tonight are many who could help speak about our plans for Lake Walton. First is our Commissioner of Public Works, Bob Balkind. We also have Sandy Washburn, who is our Director of Parks for Dutchess County. We have Suzanne O'Neill, who is our Assistant Parks Director for the county. We have Jackie Hakes, who has been the lead person and consultant that we've worked with over the last 2 years or so as the county has embarked on a full master plan of our county park system. But more specifically, Jackie's work's been focused on Lake Walton over the last 6 months or so. And her colleague, Jeff Dawson, who will help and assist in the presentation. I want to remind anyone who might need an ASL interpreter that you can pin the ASL interpreter anytime you need to do so. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jackie, and she'll take us through a presentation about some of the concepts. Jackie. Jackie, I think we need I think you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this again. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are excited to be able to share with you the draft concept plan for the future of the Lake Walton Preserve. This evening, we're going to walk through a brief site history, share with you a little bit of the process that we embarked upon to prepare the concept plan, and then share the key elements of that draft concept plan, as well as several priority projects that have been developed through this process. And then we want to hear from you through a Q&A. And we do have an active online survey where you can also share your input, and we will provide information about how to access that survey later on in our presentation. Historically, Lake Walton was an active recreation destination. The Lake Walton property was owned by the Brinkerhoff family from 1910 to 2001. And the family rented portions of this property to use as a campground. There were cottages, mobile home sites. There was a public beach, a picnic grove, rental boats, fishing, camping. You can see we were able to pull some historical postcards, and you can see how active and busy this property was from a recreational standpoint. The property has evolved over time. And with that evolution, that evolution also included the purchase of this property by the county. And it has now become more of a destination for wildlife, birds, and a variety of flora and fauna, as opposed to people at this point in time. And when the county purchased this property, the intent really was to create a nature preserve for the public to be able to explore, learn, and experience nature. And this truly is a unique setting where you can learn about habitat, see wildlife, see the birds, see fish in the water, and it provides meaningful opportunities here for the public to be able to experience nature. So how did we go about developing this draft concept plan that we're going to share with you this evening? Our team, MJ Engineering, along with our team member Place Alliance, and representatives from the County Parks Department and DPW, along with a core team, a set of core team members identified by the county. We reviewed existing condition mapping, and we conducted a site walk. We conducted this site walk in the fall of 2019, a beautiful fall day, and one of the best ways to be able to understand this truly unique and special place that is Lake Walton. From that, we developed a draft concept plan. And the draft concept plan is a visual illustration of the master plan vision for this particular property. It's a series of components that together over time can be phased and implemented to maximize the opportunities for the public, again, to explore, learn, and experience Lake Walton. This concept plan starts with a universally accessible loop. And I'm going to take a moment here and highlight that for you. So this orange dotted line, and if you can follow my red cursor, is what we are proposing as a universally accessible loop. And it accesses in two locations the Dutchess County Rail Trail. Another key element of the concept plan are formalized connections in this location and this location to the Dutchess Rail Trail. Another element of the proposed concept plan is vehicular access points for the preserve. This is Lake Walton Road over here, Homestead Drive, and Cottage Drive. There are two access points here where more formalized parking is being proposed so that folks can access the preserve from these two locations, but primarily we are anticipating access will be from the Dutchess County Rail Trail in these locations. At various locations throughout the Lake Walton Preserve, we are proposing bird blinds and overlook observation platforms. These yellow circles, dotted circles that you see at key locations throughout the property are where those are proposed. In addition, boardwalks and overlooks in other locations where these purple circles are identified throughout the property. And these have been identified based on what we had seen when we went on the site visit there. These locations where you see the green circles scattered throughout, and in particularly along the Universal Loop Trail and at these locations for boardwalks, are proposed locations for educational signage. Again, universal sensory signage so that it is accessible for people of all abilities. We also are proposing a feature, which is this dotted blue circle here. This is a peninsula that is within the lake, and it really is a unique observation point for the lake. And so at this point, we are proposing an elevated pavilion with an accessible ramp, again, carrying through that theme of universal access throughout this preserve. Again, that Universal Loop Trail, which really links a lot of the key elements that are being proposed for the future preserve. And in this southern portion of the preserve, this pink circle that you see where my cursor is now, we're proposing a sensory exploration patch and classroom. This is an opportunity for outdoor learning and an outdoor classroom. I think we've been finding over the course of the last several months that there are more and more people that are looking for these opportunities for outdoor learning. And this is an area that we are proposing for that to be. And one of the things I do want to point out is because of the history of this property, there are portions of a roadway here that can be utilized as a starting point for this universally accessible trail loop. I'd like to share with you now some images of what we are proposing. These are examples of what might be as part of this future master plan. The universally accessible loop trail, there are a variety of different surface types that could be implemented here to make sure this is accessible for all. The elevated pavilion with the accessible ramp, these are examples of what that might look like. Again, a real key feature and a center point, if you will, focal point for this preserve. In addition, this is what we are proposing for the bird blinds and overlook and observation platforms. The intent here is to bring people closer to the natural environment. These spaces provide opportunities for learning, again, through that sensory educational signage. And the same with the boardwalks and overlooks, a very unique opportunity to be able to experience nature. And all of these components, we do realize will take time and resources to implement fully. However, there are 3 priority areas from that concept plan that would be key to start opening this preserve up for public access. And those 3 priority projects include those parking areas, the proposed parking areas off of Homestead and Cottage, and the intent there is to have a formalized location for people to park so that we can minimize potential impacts for the existing neighborhoods. The intent also is to utilize sustainable options as much as possible to reduce the amount of impervious surface that is being added to this preserve. Another priority project are those 2 rail trail connections. Making that connection to the Dutchess County Rail Trail is really important. There are a lot of people that already utilize that rail trail, and so we want to provide that connection into the Lake Walton Preserve and enhance that experience that folks may have while visiting the rail trail. And then also we would like to initiate that the universally accessible loop trail. And that loop trail really links all of the future elements together. And so that is an important element to start with for this process. I'd like to share with you now the online survey. It is www.dutchessny.gov/park survey. If you go to this online survey, you can share your direct feedback about the various components of the proposed concept plan. And we do want to hear from you. That's what this virtual session is all about. That's what the online survey is about. So we would encourage you to provide your feedback and input at that survey, in addition to the questions that you may have this evening. We would also encourage you to contact your legislators to express your support for this. This is an important initiative within the county. And as the county executive had indicated in his welcome message, this is something that continues to be important for the county moving forward. With that, I would like to turn this back over to Dave, and we are happy to answer any questions that folks might have for us this evening.
Jackie, thank you very much for that presentation, and certainly we're excited about some of those concepts and how we can make the advancement of Lake Walton over the course of time. At the end of the presentation, as you saw, we're encouraging people to reach out to their legislators and confirm or tell them that you're certainly supporting Lake Walton's development. We do have county exec's office will be delivering a resolution request for the consideration of the legislature at their November meeting for beginning design and engineering costs to begin the implementation of what we're referring to as phase 1 of the Lake Walton master plan, most likely focused in the connections off of Dutchess Rail Trail. There's 2 main connections that we're looking to engineer and have a solution that we would have safe and reliable, handicapped, accessible routes off the Dutchess Rail Trail, as well as this accessible loop trail and some development off of parking areas off of Cottage and Homestead. So we appreciate that support. We'll take any questions now, and then I'll refer those questions to our staff that's on the line here. We have a question from Renee about fishing at the lake, and will it be a catch and release fishing? And maybe I'll throw that to Sandy Washburn, who our Parks Director. Sandy.
I said, I knew you were going to do that, Dave. I would have to say, I don't have the exact answer to that yet. We are looking at all of the different recreational opportunities that the lake presents, and I've done some outreach actually to 2 wonderful fishing and outdoor sporting organizations here in Dutchess County to team up with us. So I always turn to my great friends at the Dutchess Federation and Trout Unlimited to give me guidance when it comes to fishing and best fishing practices in different bodies of water based on the fish that live there. So unless Bob wants to jump in with a different answer, I don't know exactly right now what the recreational opportunities will look like, and right down to the level of detail that would surround our fishing there.
Commissioner Volkine?
Yeah, no, Sandy, thank you. Appreciate that. I think your answer is accurate. We'll need a little bit of guidance. Obviously, New York State DEC fishing regulations would apply, but we'll decide in conjunction with our partners that Sandy mentioned whether we're going to do anything different besides the standard DEC fishing regulations.
Could we had a question in our presentation yesterday that I thought was a good one that spoke about the health of Lake Walton and the kind of the ecological advancement or to what condition it might be in. And Jeff Dawson, who is an environmentalist with Place Alliance, a partner with MJ Engineering in our Parks Master Plan and Lake Walton study. Jeff's on this meeting as well. And Jeff, maybe I could ask you just briefly to talk about certainly some of the wonderful things with Lake Walton, but maybe some of the challenges that we'll be tackling.
Certainly. Thank you, Dave. So one of the things that we've recommended for the Lake Walton Phase 1 is to do a lake assessment to understand the ecological existing conditions of the site. We know that the lake is an impounded system and has 2 earthen dams that kind of restrict its natural flow. So one of the things we'd be looking to do is do an assessment of the vegetation types within the preserve, looking at the lake specifically, things including the bank stability around the lake, as well as water quality and the sediment that is in the lake system itself, and then come up with a plan that would be able to address any of the issues that arise with that. And also looking at things like invasive species that we noticed at our site walk that Jackie mentioned earlier, just to be able to kind of understand what's happening to the system today so that we could make appropriate recommendations to manage it moving forward.
Good, Jeff. Thanks. Thanks very much. I know we had a question also yesterday regarding the potential programming at Lake Walton. Certainly, as the county exec has mentioned, this is the biggest advancement in county parks in over 50 years, and certainly we're excited about it. And it opens up a whole array of potential programming that we could offer at Lake Walton. Sandy or Suzanne, could I ask one of you maybe to speak about the kind of the exciting opportunities that we might be able to expand in using Lake Walton?
I'll start, and if Suzanne wants to jump in, I have the great pleasure of working with Suzanne, and she does lead our programming, and we have fantastic park naturalists, 2 of them on staff at Bowden Park. A number of people don't know that they're there, so we're really going to be stepping up our outreach so the community understands what currently exists in our nature programming, but also the exciting opportunity to bring that to such a property and a project as this Lake Walton Nature Preserve. Something I'm incredibly passionate about, getting people back in touch with nature and all of the great benefit that comes with that, you know, in a passive way, in a way that allows us to observe animals, birds, you know, all those creatures in their natural habitat and not disturb them, but learn from them, and also help teach our community the benefits of that. So, Sue, I don't know if you had some additional things you wanted to share.
No, I think that's a really great start. I know yesterday within this presentation, we did have some individuals asking about kayaking and additional programming more centered along the water. And as soon as we really know the ecology of the water system there, we'll have more of an idea of what we can offer in regards to the water programming. But we definitely will have a lot of birding opportunities out there, a little bit closer in education around invasive species management. And the loop itself is 1.4 miles. So it'll be a great opportunity, a walking opportunity, and a bike riding opportunity around the water source.
And I know for us also, Dave, we have a wonderful partnership with our great friends with the Think Differently initiative led by Tony Sharfella. And we've already had multiple meetings and different things that we're going to be able to bring to the community in all of our parks for all of our residents of all abilities. And that is certainly a huge focus here at this park, and something that we'll be able to tackle right from the ground up and from the very design, portion of the project moving forward. In many of our other parks, we're having to, as all communities are facing, go back to a structure and a mindset that is really dated and catch up to what we need to be doing for all of our community and all of our residents. But Lake Walton gives us the opportunity to do that right out of the gate. So we're really happy with what we're going to be able to do there and how we're going to be able to team up and really have some wonderful interaction with everyone at that property.
Good, thank you, ladies. We also had some discussion yesterday that we could bring up about really about the surface of the universally accessible loop trail. Certainly, it would be a primary feature of the Lake Walton Preserve, and our county executive is committed to this being a very forward thinking preserve that is accessible to all. And so we're very excited about that. And even though it's too early to say what the surface might be, Jackie, maybe you could talk a little bit about maybe the potential options or things that we might consider in as far as the type of surface that we might consider.
Sure, Dave, I'd be happy to. And Jeff, if you want to add, feel free to. The surface of the trail is really something that we want to make sure to balance the accessibility with the sustainability of the nature preserve itself, recognizing that if we are introducing impermeable surfaces, we need to make sure to address that from a stormwater runoff perspective. And so we want to make sure to balance that. But with that said, there are several opportunities or several types of surfaces out there. There is permeable pavement, there's hard packed surfaces. There are a lot of different options out there that can still make sure that the trail, the loop trail, is maintained as an accessible trail. The details of that surface and the design, everything from the width of the trail. Will the trail, have a separate section area for cyclists in case folks want to be biking there, as well as those that may be walking or the wheelchair access, perhaps. The level of detail of that will be in the next step in terms of the design aspects for that. But it is exciting because there are options out there that we can help maintain that balance with accessibility and making sure that we are respectful of the natural environment as well. Jeff, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I think that's right, Jackie. The universally accessible trail, the 1.4-mile loop trail, will certainly be a hardened surface. What that material is, as Jackie mentioned, yet to be determined. But we will be looking at all sorts of different materials focused on sustainability first, and then move forward as we get into the details more. But I think that's what Jackie said is correct.
Good, thank you. If I could ask Commissioner Balkine maybe to speak about the schedule here. We've had questions about, well, when will the first kind of phases be done of our improvements, and certainly with the resolution going to the legislature in November. Maybe you could speak a little bit, Commissioner, about the time frame.
Sure, thank you, Dave. As you mentioned, we're going to be before the legislature with a funding request in November and December. So we expect that just around the new year, we'll be underway with our design effort. And that design effort will include designing the accessible loop trail, as we discussed, the access points off of the Duchess Rail Trail, and those small parking areas on the residential roads around the lake. So we expect that design work will take a few months, and we're hoping that by the spring of 2021, we'll be in a position to go out to bid and start building those improvements. The goal will be to build the connections to the Duchess Rail Trail and the Loop Trail, and those parking improvements, and have those ready sometime in the summer of 2021. And by that time, we'll hopefully be back to the legislature and be requesting additional funding for other phases of the improvements. So we're excited about getting the money to start the design work now. And we're excited to start seeing some construction in the spring and the early summer of 2021.
Good, thank you, Bob. We had a question about from Tom about animals and pets, and Sandy, maybe you could address that.
I'd be happy to. As in all of our Dutchess County parks, dogs are welcome on a leash. So just be sure that you keep them leashed, that you clean up after them. And certainly, we forget to say this sometimes, but if you have a dog that is a little on the aggressive side, maybe a busy park isn't the place. There have been some issues in my many years of recreation where that is something to just always remember and be mindful of. It's not as private as your own yard. So it's great to get them out to socialize. We absolutely, have many service animals that are in our parks. So just have your dogs on a leash, take their little bags with you to a trash receptacle after you've cleaned up after them. And we love to see them. They're a lot of fun.
Good, thanks, Sandy. I'd like to just make mention, as we've discussed the great upside and potential of this property, we are certainly excited about the extension of the Empire State Trail to the southern eastern terminus of where the Dutchess Rail Trail ends now at the Hopewell Depot. And that will certainly open up a whole new array of travelers on the Dutchess Rail Trail. And so we envision a large portion of the folks who are accessing the property and enjoying Lake Walton Preserve coming from the Dutchess Rail Trail, but also through the access points through Cottage Drive and Homestead. But these are not, we want to be clear, we do not envision big, large parking lots, but we do want to be sensitive to not having community roads or things impacted by cars and things of that nature. So we're going to study that out very seriously. At this juncture, we have another question. How do we keep the park clean? And when people bring in garbage but don't take it out? It's a question that we have often in the management of parks. Sandy, if I could throw that one to you.
Certainly one of our greatest challenges, keeping bathrooms clean and keeping garbage maintained and managed well. It's a huge part of the parks industry, and one that we do struggle with in every community across the board. And it certainly has been a greater both issue and concern in this pandemic world that we're living in right now. So, we work certainly to keep our staff, their health and safety is our first priority to me, and then our public certainly is right up there with that. So our rail trails and this preserve would be a carry in, carry out. We have done a little experimenting with some cans at near our porta potty facilities in some of our trailheads, and trying to see if that helps us a little bit. But litter pick is some of the least favorite words for park staff across the country, but some of the most important words that we say, and one of our greatest tasks. So we really just are working to get the message out, to ask our community, please, to be mindful of taking out what they took in, and how important it is to leave the parks and our public lands, clean and safe and enjoyable for the next person who comes in after them.
Good. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks very much. At this point, we have no other questions. If anybody on the panel would like to make any closing remarks, we're certainly welcome to do so.
Yeah, Dave,
Yes.
I'd like to, if I may. So I want to thank everybody on the panel, our parks and DPW staff, Dave, yourself, and Sandy and Suzanne. I want to thank our partners at MJ. Jackie and her team, they did a fine job. And I also want to just, as a parting thought, I just want to let everyone know that the county is going to be pursuing a Friends of Lake Walton organization. We're going to be working with our community partners to create an organization of folks who are going to help us maintain the park, create new innovative ideas for using the park, and to promote the park and promote Lake Walton Preserve throughout the community, so that everybody knows what a great place it is. So we're gonna start working toward that very soon. We're gonna bring in consultants with expertise in ADA compliance and accessibility expertise. So we're very excited to bring all these partners in, and we're really excited to develop this Friends of Lake Walton Preserve. As we start getting improvements made, we know that these friends groups really add a lot of value. They're advocates, and we see that this is going to be a really exciting partnership that we're looking forward to. And I thank everybody in advance who's willing and interested in participating in that role in the Friends group. So thank you all for that.
Good, Bob. Thank you. If I could remind everybody about filling out the survey, that again is available. The link is available through our duchessny.gov website, our parks homepage. And the link, Jackie, could you read that again for me?
Sure, I'm happy to, Dave. It's duchessny.gov/park survey, and it's PARKSURVEY.
Good.
One S.
All right. Good, very good, thank you. And yes, we'd appreciate the feedback. There's an open-ended question there or opportunity to offer any narrative comments that you might have or suggestions. We certainly welcome that. We envision the survey staying open until about the end of November. So, but we'd like you to hop right on it as you're motivated to share your thoughts. And if there's no other comments from the panel, appreciate it very much. And we thank you again for joining. And hopefully in 2021, we'll see everybody at Lake Walton Preserve. Thank you.
Thank you.